Hola! It's Katie. I'm back with part number 2, leaving Commie Canada for Costa Rica. Yay! So, before I begin, I'm just so excited. I went to get my hair done, my first hair appointment in Costa Rica in a tennis, and my realtor recommended her, Columbia Hair Salon, and she did a great job. I'm really happy, and we had to use Google Translate because there was a total language barrier, and I'm just so happy that it didn't turn out like this. Anyways, shall we begin? So last week I was telling you about the whole why we chose Costa Rica, just how we went about the process of looking into it and who we hired to help us relocate. And now I want to talk about the whole journey of selling everything, right? And I'll begin by how important it is if you want to do this. Sorry, I'm looking at the wrong spot. If you want to do this, it's really important to declutter, right? So your very first step is going to be declutter before you call an agent to even come and look at your house. And I think I mentioned this in the last video, but I'll say it again. We kind of did everything backwards because when we bought the house in 2021, it was the best of the worst. This is the house in Quesnel. So it was like 3,400 square feet plus a huge 1,650 square foot shop and another big shed. And the house was fine, but the shop and the shed were just full of like crap from 20 years. Like, it was stressful. We had showed up with 3 U-Hauls and couldn't empty one of all Jeff's shop stuff, and it took weeks for him and his brother to trailer it all out to the dump and, you know, pick through what was good. And anyway, that was really stressful. So in our eyes, see, I think I did say this, in our eyes we thought the house looked great because we had cleaned out the yard, like broken lawn chairs and old broken plastic plant pots and, you know, all kinds of shizola. We'd really cleaned up. And the shop, you know, look, Jeff had just done such a great job, like drywalling it and, you know, cleaning it up considerably. So hang on. When we put it on the market, you know, we're thinking it looks good. But as we progressed, we got a lot of people saying, oh, it's so big, it's so old. And it was like, well, don't they look at the square footage when they look at the show, you know, the MLS listing? And it's obvious that it was all like original cabinets from 1981. So anyway, we did start to, at that point last summer, I was in between. I'd given the keys up to my job at the store, and I think, I told you this too. Ended up at the airport getting fired because I failed by one question, but that gave us time to totally shine the house up. So sorry, I'm repeating myself. I already said all that. Okay, so then what I would suggest is you gotta pre-clutter, get it all nice and ready for the market. And then be prepared for when the subjects come off, because that's when it gets wild, because you don't want to sell your stuff until you know that you've got a deposit on your house and for sure nothing's going to go sideways. You don't want to start selling all your furniture. But as you do that, I'll go back to my journey. As we started to, you know, as we were telling all our friends that, you know, the house sold, we got an offer, we've accepted it, but we're just waiting for the subjects to come off. I was letting friends and family know in the area that they had first dibs on our furniture if they wanted to buy anything, and, you know, household knickknacks and things. And what I highly recommend is that get a commitment, like get a deposit, especially from friends and family, because what I found was I had friends, you know, when they came over who, oh, I want that, I want that, I want that. And I just thought they were committed, right? Great. And then I had our first big estate sale. It was super busy. Like, I must have had like, I don't know, 40 people in the house at the same time. Like probably 70 people walked through the house all at once. And my friend Nona, thanks Nona, helped me. And she's great. Like, she's just experienced with things like thrift yard sales. And so she was great. And we were just blottoed. It was so busy. And so after that, you know, within the weeks, I had different friends or family say, oh, yeah, I don't want that anymore. Yeah, no, I measured and I don't want that. And like, oh, really? Like, kind of would have been nice to know that before I had 70 people walk through my house, because 5 people were like, I want that. Oh, sorry, it's spoken for. So you see what I'm saying, right? Like, and give them grace, right? Forgive your friends. It's all good. I did eventually sell everything, but it added frustration at the time. So I highly recommend that you get a deposit and a commitment from your friends or family or neighbors, whoever. If they want that bed or that dresser or that lamp, make them give you some money down right away before you have like your big estate sale. And that, I wanted to say, if we could do it all over again, we would probably have done it like the whole weekend, because we were just both working. So, you know, Jeff was still doing his 9 to 5 like at Lord Co, and I was still working at the Catholic school. You know, I was up at like 5 in the morning. Sorry, I'm getting these things. And you know, working with kids all day, and then get home and then just start, you know, pulling out and yanking things out of cupboards and closets, and it was just a matter of condense some more. You can't just do it, you know, it's like eating an elephant, one bite at a time. And sometimes we were really full. So what we would do again is the momentum. Keep that momentum going. If you have an estate sale on the Saturday, do it on the Sunday as well. Just do it the whole weekend. I know we were trying to kind of save that Sunday for rest, but when we did our first estate sale, it was huge. We did really well, you know, sold a lot of stuff. There's like tons of people. Jeff was out in the shop, surrounded, like he said, like 15, 12 men at a time, like, how much for this? How much for this? How much for this? So he was like, couldn't help me in the house because he was out in the shop. And we should have kept doing it the next day. So do that, right? Do it 2 days in a row. Because when we did it the following week, we still got a lot of people, but not the crush that we got the first time. We still made as much money, which is cool. I think because people felt less pressured without so many people around. Like that first weekend, people kept coming back. I had some people like leave and come back a couple times. And this part's really funny. Rocky's gas station, 2 kilometers from our house, they ran out of cash. Their ATM ran out of cash. So then the staff were all coming. And the first day, it was like 4:30 and it was over, because it was over at 4. And I get a knock on the door, and it's this lovely lady from the gas station, and she's like, hey, I know you were done at 4, but I had to work. I just got off work now, and the ATM ran out of cash, and everyone kept saying that there was really good stuff. And then she's like, is that paddleboard for sale? And I'm like, yeah. She's like, I want it. You know, and then she came back with her boyfriend and bought a bunch more stuff. So that was cool. And other people came back later in the day, you know, when they didn't have their kids or when they had their arms less full, and came back to buy more. So that was super cool. Then the following week, it was quieter, but we still did well, and we sold quite a lot of stuff. It was still amazing to me how much stuff, like to watch people leaving with like boxes and bags of stuff. I made sure I had a lot of boxes and bags. I found like a big thing of bags at the, not recycle center, but the share shed. So and that was months ago, and I was like, oh, I'll be needing these. So that was great, because I used them all. They gave them all away. So it was still amazing though to see how much stuff was left in the house. Wow. And then the third one, we were feeling tired, right? And by now I was getting sick. I had a cold for about 5 weeks, and I couldn't shake it. And you're in the middle of this. You can't stop. Like, it's go time. The subjects are off and you're selling, and people are coming by like at 7 o'clock at night to pick up a piece of furniture. And true story. And you know, they got a friend with them, 2 friends. Oh, you're selling everything you own? Can we have a walkthrough? And suddenly they're there for like the next hour, going through your house and looking at everything and buying. And you're not going to say no, because your goal is to get rid of everything. So then by the time we had the third estate sale, momentum was really down by then. In between, I was posting like on our community page, and I didn't want to attract like any like flakes or rubby-dubbies from town, so I just put only on the group in my neighborhood, and it was really successful that way. And I would, you know, post different furniture, like lots of the big stuff, and sell that too. So people were coming over like all week long. So it wasn't just contained to the weekend. So I hope, I'm just gonna look at my notes here. But yeah, I burned the candle at both ends, and I ended up, because I was working in the school, they wanted to, they changed my schedule to have me with different classrooms and only have me with a little bit with the kids I've been working with, because, you know, they wanted them to get used to different education assistants. But unfortunately for me, because I had just gotten over a 5-week cold and my immune system was really, you know, still kind of weak, when they put me in some other classrooms, the kids like colds, especially the younger ones, pouring at the nose, I got sick again. And finally it was like week 7 and I had a fever, and I just left. I went home that day, and I think during the night I worried, and I had to like text the principal like 4 in the morning and say, you know what, I'm really sorry, but I just have to be done. Here's traffic in the background. So I just said, I have to be done. Like my focus has to be on getting well and getting my stuff sold. And that whole time, my emergency was full. I couldn't get into emergency because I thought I had pneumonia at one point. And it took them 2 weeks to even get back to me from the phone clinic. And then another 10 days to get back to me with a requisition to have my chest x-rayed. And by then I was like, okay, I'm not dead, so I'm probably fine. And it's quite funny because when we were on our way going across Canada, I'm skipping ahead now, this is hilarious. We were in the U-Haul and my phone rings, and it's the freaking hospital, the doctor's office, saying, oh, we have a requisition here for you to have your chest x-rayed. And I said, are you absolutely kidding me? Like, are you talking from February? And she's like, yeah. And this is May, okay? This is like 3 months later. And I'm like, well, actually I died from pneumonia, and you're talking to my ghost. So, and she starts laughing, and I said, oh, come on, like 3 months later? That is Canada's healthcare system. That's how broken it is. Okay, so I'm gonna look back at my notes for a sec. 3 estate sales, yeah, patience, grumpy, excited. You know, Jeff didn't sometimes want to hear what was going on in the house because he was overwhelmed with the shop, and I needed some help. And it was a big lesson in patience and just giving each other grace and forgiving each other when we get crabby and keeping our eye on the prize, right? That, yes, we know this is exhausting because we got like a major exciting reward ahead for doing all this. So communication's big, right? And yeah, I just told you, just make sure you get a commitment from your family. And okay, I'm just gonna look at the rest of my notes here. This will be a shorter video than last week, and this is part 2 of a few more to come. With the relocation expert that we hired, Sarah Elena, and her fabulous team. One of the ladies, Augustina, was awesome. And once we had our plane ticket booked and rented a place down here, then we got on like a 2-hour call to go over all the logistics of other things. And you know, that includes shipping containers, right? Like they go over everything with you. And Jeff and I decided not to do that. Really great advice coming down here is don't bring all your stuff. Like, you can get it all here. A lot of houses that you buy are actually furnished. And even if they're not, you know, you can find it on Marketplace and find some great pieces, because just the cost and the hassle of shipping it all down. And same with the car. And I said that kind of incorrectly last time, but you probably knew what I meant. I said if the car's within 5 years of age, I meant over. Like, if your car is older than 5 years and it's not electric, you're gonna get taxed so high, and then you're gonna pay so much for the container and the cost of shipping it, that's why 90% of Sarah's clients buy a new car down here. And she used vetted Trinity Motors, and they've been awesome. We bought a Suzuki Jimny, but here's the thing, and I like that they're showing up though. They're doing great, but Jeff's already not happy. There's been rattles, the tie rod ends are loose, the exhaust is loose. So he was not very happy, and he got hold of them, and you know what? It took a bit and a bit of communication, but they sent someone to come and pick it up a couple days ago and gave us a 2026 4-door one to use in the meantime. So they really are awesome and standing by what they do, and they're gonna get all the things that he went over with them fixed. He's a car guy, so he knows exactly what's wrong. But we just paid 38,000 Canadian, so he's not touching it. And he's like, no, no. Like they promised it would be all inspected and just tip-top shape. So that's pretty cool. What else can I tell you? So yeah, the container, be very careful with containers, the sea cans, because there's a lot of fraud going on right now. Do not buy a sea can unless you can see it in person. Don't do anything over Marketplace or the internet. There's a huge, lots of hustling going on with that. And so we lucked out getting a container just down the road from Jeff's brother, just like a kilometer. He wouldn't give us a deal though. And it was one of those high tops that we didn't really need, but he's right there. It was easy. So he brought it over, and Steve is great. Jeff's left some tools there, some other household things that we want to bring when we come back. And I told you how expensive the luggage was, like 12 pieces of luggage, like over $1,000. So it's not cheap. So again, be really discerning how much you need. Just a few little things that maybe, I brought a couple mugs and one pretty tiny little lamp that I love, this antique little lamp, but very little, just clothes and toiletries. It's nice to save money. I'm really glad that we brought all, a bunch of our cosmetics, my cosmetics, hair products, but things like Polysporin and Afterbite and sunscreen, all those things. It's because they are pricey down here, and so if you can bring the tub, they're I think 102 liters, the Rona ones, black with the yellow lid. And we actually did a smaller one because it was easier to carry. So we did one big one and 3 small ones. And the big one, Jeff kind of dispersed his tools because he wants his personal tools. For the weight, he put them in all 4 bins. And then, we filled them with shoes and with, the toiletries. And, I had everything in Ziploc bags, just everything, with shampoos and things, soaps. So that was great. Oh yeah, and then I wanted to tell you about our trip across Canada. This is fun. So we couldn't find a U-Haul van. We wanted to go across Canada, bring some things from the house to our daughter, our beautiful girl in Toronto. So her and I, while I was selling everything, before I even started, her and I would do these FaceTimes for an hour or 2 at a time, for her to go through everything that she wanted. And then I filled it in a closet. And finally, by the end, we condensed, and finally, had, okay, this is what we're bringing to Toronto, plus our stuff. And we finally realized that the SUV we had booked was in the US, and oh my good God, it was really expensive. It included unlimited kilometers, but I canceled it. We rented a U-Haul Cube van, the Cube truck. And it was way cheaper. I think it was 2,800 Canadian, and that included the kilometers. We went over a tiny bit, so we had to pay another $80. But that was great because there was lots of space. It was roomy. And what we did was we came down from Quesnel to the mainland. And I drove the Jeep Liberty, and Jeff drove the U-Haul. And when we stopped in Aldergrove to see his buddy Gary, hi Gary, he was so great. He said, don't leave the U-Haul at the BC ferries, because we were going to leave it in Horseshoe Bay and then take the Liberty over to Vancouver Island, visit our friends, leave it there, get back on the ferry, and then, it'd be waiting on the other side, and then begin our journey across Canada. But Gary said, don't. He said, they're actually getting stolen. And we looked it up, and they're called piñatas. So thieves are targeting the U-Hauls, especially in hotel parking lots, because they know that your whole life is in there. They know it's full of candy, full of goodies. So there's a big fraud on that too. So Gary was really awesome and let us keep the U-Haul in his driveway on Aldergrove. And so Jeff and I and Lisa, my sister-in-law, was with us, and then we headed to the island on the ferry. And then when we came back, Gary picked us up. He was awesome and picked us up at 8 in the morning at Horseshoe Bay, came out to Aldergrove, gave him a hug goodbye, and jumped in the U-Haul, and there was our journey. And we just sort of booked hotels as we went because, you know, we weren't sure about the time, so we didn't want to book something and then be stressed out that, oh God, it's, you know, 6 o'clock and it's going to be 3 more hours till we get there. We just booked as we went, and it was all great. I have to say, like, all the hotels, we stayed in Creston the first night, we stayed in Medicine Hat the second night, then we stayed in, what the heck, Moosamim, Saskatchewan, the third night. Then we got to North Ontario and stayed in Marathon, and then Blind River. So we had 5 hotel nights, and then we were on our way to Toronto, had an Airbnb already booked there. Tally and her boyfriend were fantastic. Like, we, you know, went out with Talia. She took a couple days off, thank you honey, and we had a lot of fun with her. She showed us a beautiful park. We went to some great restaurants, loved her place. And then when it was time to leave, we had breakfast, and her boyfriend had his mom's SUV, but it was quite small, but everything fit. But Jeff and I had to get in an Uber. So Tally and her boyfriend, with the SUV full of all our stuff, met us at the airport, and we went in an Uber and then grabbed everything, and they helped us lug everything into the airport. And we got to get special service because of the totes. And we're really lucky because we watched one guy, they were searching his tote. They were really happy. They didn't search anything. Everything went through the conveyor belt just fine. When we got to Costa Rica, one of Jeff's suitcases had been opened with a nice note saying, we opened your luggage, but we did not take anything. So something caught their eye, but it was really, it was just blessed. Like, we just felt blessed, the whole thing, like from selling our house to, you know, the lawyers, to closing, to visiting our beautiful friends and family. Our friends and family in Quesnel, you know, thank you Lisa, thank you Shay and Joffrey and Steve and Lisa. Had like really nice barbecues to say goodbye to us. And on the island, Sue and Carl, God bless you, all our friends, had a really nice barbecue for us. Just, you know, a smaller one, and just great. And then, you know, my big brother and his girlfriend, my brother Danny, you know, I've told Danny that we're just traveling because I just think that would be, I don't think he's ready to hear that we're moving. And he's starting to sort of slow down and have some signs of early dementia. So we're not sure what's going to happen. So we're just, you know, for now, he just thinks I'm traveling. And that's all good. I've been phoning him and he sounds great. But when Rhonda ran into him the other day, he thought she was Barb. So he is just slowing down a little bit. Just talking about my big brother for any of you that know my big, beautiful brother, Danny. And Diane and Fred, they just wish us well. They've been so supportive. Everybody has been. I'm just so grateful. And don't worry, you will have some people that don't agree or aren't supportive. Just love them. It's okay. It's our life. When we stopped in Thunder Bay, we saw my cousins, and I'd never met them before. This is my mom's big sister, Auntie Eileen. Of course, I met her plenty of times because she would come out to the island when she was in her 50s and 60s and 70s. But her kids, even when they did come out, I was in Vancouver, so I missed meeting them. So I got to meet her son David and his lovely wife Emma, and her lovely daughter Linda and her husband Clayton. And it was really cool because Linda looks just like Auntie and she sounds like her. And she was telling me that when her son moved to Australia years ago, you know, people said, so I'm playing with my new hair. People were like, oh, aren't you sad that he's moving to Australia? And, you know, you must be so sad. And she's like, why? I've had my life. That's his life. This is his life. And that's the attitude you have to have. Like, this is our life. As much as I love my brothers and my family and my friends, and I'm not married to them. Jeff and I are married to each other. And you only get one life. And this is our Act 3. And we're stoked. Just yesterday I looked at him and said, so, any regrets? And he's like, no. Me neither, right? So, what else? So yeah, that was really cool. Thunder Bay, my daughter. And then we got here to the rental, and I had been looking at the rental online, but it was through a relocation expert. One of her employees, Sonia, had helped me with that whole process because I had to send the rent in colones and discovered you can't do that from Canada. You can only send a wire, international and American. So Sonia was great and let me send the American to her, and then she sent it in colones to my landlords, the deposit and the first month rent. and $750 US. Because of the exchange, ended up being like $781 US. So, you know, our rent's around $1,100. But like I said, like that includes the use of this great pool. And here, I'll just turn this for you for a second. This great barbecue and pizza oven, but we have not used that. We haven't used that yet. We're just kind of, we just do our own thing. We just cook simple little meals in the apartment. And $750, if you've been following me on Facebook, they have 5 cats. And this orange boy, Mariano, loves us. Mariano play piano. He's so funny, and he hangs out at our house all the time. Just getting rid of a text. And one night, like, we look out the window and he's sitting on top of the chimney, like on the roof rack, just like a security guard. We're like, oh. And we had just found out that day that we get housekeeping once a week. Like, they come and dust, sweep, wash the floors, change our bedding, give us new towels, exchange the bath mat. So very cool. And Jeff and I have a great little system going where he drives and cooks and I clean and do the laundry. So that's working out great. Compromise is awesome. Be good to each other. Be kind to each other. Give some grace. So anyway, I think I'm going to wrap this up now. And this is really exciting. My channel's been growing. I'm hearing from a lot of people who want to come down and do this. But wait, I can't end this video now. I haven't told you the most exciting news. I'm not going to show you a picture just yet because we're still going through the process, but we're buying a house. We bought a duplex. It's got a carport for Jeff to work on cars. We have a tenant who wants to stay. She's been there for years. She's like a lady from Texas. And it has a bonus, beautiful guest room upstairs and a little outdoor bathroom that we're going to funk up for our guests. And we're going to use it to not to Airbnb, but to offer to you, like to offer to friends and family and acquaintances who want to come down on the cheap and stay and scout around. And we'll, you know, rent you the room. We'll provide pick up and drop off at the airport and take you to a few places like Punta Leona, the beautiful white sand beach that I showed in my short a few weeks ago when we got here. And La Fortuna, you know, it was 2.5 hours away, so we can take you there to see the hot springs, the waterfalls, and the volcano. And maybe somebody wants to do something on their own. You know, we can take them to the bus station and they can rent a car. They can even maybe rent our car if we buy a second car in time. They may rent out our Jimny. A lot of people do that down here. So that's exciting. And then we even have like a little bonus loft as well. So when our daughter comes, her and her boyfriend can stay in the spare room, and there's a loft if one of her other friends comes with them that they can stay. And it's just funky. It's got a gorgeous view. I mean, all the rooms have views. It's just incredible. It sits on top of this hill in a beautiful neighborhood. And the wall is like, I'm not kidding, like from medieval times. It's just like this huge rock wall, like a fortress. I'll put that in the video, but I'm not going to show you the house yet because I don't want to, you know, jinx anything. I mean, you can't jinx. It's all in God's hands, and He's been so good to us. This house felt key to us. Like, we were just talking to a realtor about some addresses because we were just, hey, you know, what's the address? We just want to drive by and see that neighborhood. And next thing you know, she sends us the link to this duplex, and we're like, oh my God. Like, the price, holy moly, it's a bit out of our price range, but there's rental income. Plus that bonus room, we can rent that as well. Like, wow. And it's just gorgeous. There's just windows and views, and was built in the mid-90s like a brick shit house. Like, it's just concrete with rebar and these beautiful old wooden touches everywhere and carved wood inside, and it's lovely. And we're doing so good on the money that we put away that our Sun Life guy, Mark, if you're gonna hire anyone to help you with your money, please, I highly recommend that you hire Mark, what the heck's his last name? I'll leave the link in the description. He's from Sun Life in Williams Lake, Mark Noble. And in 1 month, he made us a hell of a lot of money in 1 month. Like, it was stunning. It's almost enough to put in the plunge pool. We're putting in a plunge pool. But that's kind of, yeah, got to deal with right now. In order to get this house for such a cheap price, there's another house on the property, and they have the access for the gate. It's not ours. So if a new owner comes along and says, no, we don't want you driving past, then we'd be screwed. So we actually got a quote from a contractor, again vetted through our realtor, who's vetted through our relocation expert, and he quoted us an amazing price to knock this out. Oh my God, like a hole in this fortress of a wall, put in a security gate and a driveway up to the house. So it's just wow. And Jeff and his friends say like boiling oil, like in medieval times, if someone was trying to crawl up your wall, you'd like pour boiling oil on them. So hey, if we're in end times and got some bad guys climbing up, yeah, that's pretty funny. You just laugh. So that's it. Yeah, we're gonna be working on lots of things. So I'll definitely check back in with you next week. And I think that's it for now. Pura vida. Adios. God bless. Thank you so much for subscribing. If you enjoy this, like, share. I turned off the likes and dislikes because YouTube fucking takes them away from me. They do. And I thought, what bugs me is that when people see a video with a whole bunch of views but not many thumbs, they're gonna think it's shit and they're probably not gonna click on it. And I started noticing that other people who have the same feelings I do about what's going on in our world and in our old country, they're doing the same thing. So this is how you hit back and just say, you know what, I don't care. But do give it a like and please comment, because I love to talk to you and share it so other people can see what's going on. A lot of people are doing this. A lot of people are reaching out, wanting to know advice. And my best advice is you have to do the heavy lifting. Because if you can't let go of all that is material, if you can't focus and do your homework, you're going to be disappointed, because it's not for everybody. There's bugs, it's hot, it's humid. You have to be really, just have your heart open and do your homework and look at other countries and things, right? Don't just follow what I'm saying. And if you do your homework and you really want to come here, come on down, get hold of me. Find me on Facebook or leave me a comment and we'll figure out how I can help you. And, you know, I'll make it affordable. Like, obviously I can't give away the farm, but we're going to cover the costs and give you a really good deal to have a little tour around and see what it's like. So, yeah, that's it for now. Adios.